It's already recording. This is my attempt at a hook. Are you ready? What if you never had to edit a photo ever again? I mean, you will. Of course you will. I wanted to create a video giving you my favourite 10 cameras that give you straight out of camera JPEGs that are banging. So if you don't want to edit, you don't have to. Let's get stuck in. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. In at number 10. My teeny tiny Leica clone, the Lumix LX100. I was really pleasantly surprised by the JPEGs in this camera. I fully anticipated to just sort of give them a cursory glance and not really look at them again, but I found that this camera was well before its time. There's even a little filter button on the top, and the first preset on the list, which is called Enhanced, I think actually gets some very nice results without any editing required. Here's some photographs that I took around sunny Liverpool, and it's not a world apart from how I would have edited them in Lightroom, to be honest. Buy the LX100 if you really like simplicity. It's very small and genuinely pocketable. You can't change lenses on it, but the one that's built in is very versatile and very good quality. You have tactile dials, you have a little EVF, everything that you need without any faff. Even the best preset is the first one on the list. No deep dive required. In at number 9, the tiny Pentax Q. This is the QS1, but all the Pentax Q cameras have the same stuff built in. This has an honourable mention in this list, and indeed my heart, because it was the first camera really that I played with way back in like 2012, where I saw the potential in out-of-camera JPEGs. Now, way back then, I may have used way too much selective colour, but don't let the size of the Pentax Q fool you. It's feature-packed, and Pentax are very, very good for JPEG customization. In the list of your photo profiles, you can see on the colour wheel exactly how each preset will change your JPEGs. And I think having a grasp on the colour information and what it's boosting and what it's taking out is worth its weight in gold. But wait, there's more. You can customize these even further by adding in contrast and saturation and different things to taste. You can get some very good, but also possibly quite wacky results with. On the front of the Pentax Q, you have 4 presets on the photo dial that you can assign your favourite ones to. There's also a really weird one, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. Maybe not in terms of like what it's giving me, but just the concept of it. In the cross-processing preset, you have the option to select random. And that means every time you take a picture, the shadows and the highlights will be tinted with different colours. Different every time you take a photo. You can also shoot in RAW alongside this as well, so it might give you gold, it might definitely not, but it's fun to play with. The monochrome is also very pleasing. So buy this dinky camera if you want fun experimental JPEGs that may be over time rather than something polished and perfect. Something fun. I mean, the whole thing about Pentax Q is it's fun, right? And also, in my opinion, it's legendary. What's next on the list? If I had a nickel for every camera on this list that was made out of one single block of aluminium, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's a bit weird. Next on the list is the Sigma BF, quite a modern camera in every sense of the word, and the design did only come out this year as well. This is a full frame camera from Sigma, and it's a little bit Marmite. It's got a lot of interesting things going for it. Check out my review if you would like to learn more about it. I'll link the reviews to everything in the description for later. But in terms of in-camera JPEGs, it's a little bit of a dichotomy. There's no blooming Wi-Fi built in, so there's no way to quickly get your JPEGs off the camera and into your phone. And also, it doesn't take an SD card either, it only has internal storage, so you just need to get a USB-C cable. It isn't the end of the world, to be fair. Now, I find the Sigma presets a mixed bag. There's 2 that I really quite like. One is, of course, orange and teal, because I'm a sucker for that. And one is called Faded Gold. Faded Gold. I find the orange and teal one to be a lot more versatile. I've tried it in a few different scenarios and it looks very nice indeed. The Faded Gold one either looks lovely and filmic and interesting or a little bit strange, but the way that the Sigma BF is designed is you've got the spinny wheel on the back, so you can just cycle through any of these presets as and when you need them. Buy this camera if you want a very interestingly designed camera that's quite expensive but very unique, and will certainly strike a lot of conversations with camera nerds whenever you're out with it. Now, of course, no straight out of JPEG camera list would be complete without Fujifilm, so much so they are on twice on this list. I've tried to split their entire range into like II. And that is where the X-Trans sensor and the ability to have lots of recipes is in the more expensive ones. And then the cheaper ones, they have the different sensor, the Bayer sensor, and they have some Fujifilm recipes built in, but not the whole host. Even having just some of the more basic ones is still above and beyond what a lot of other cameras offer. I paid peanuts for this Fujifilm camera. It was around £200, probably less. I think Fujifilm have like this, I don't want to say elitism, but like everybody loves the X-Trans sensor to the point where if the camera has it, it's good. And if it doesn't, it's bad. And I think it's more grey than that black and white assumption. I think even if you get a cheaper Fujifilm, you still get some of the benefits. You still get massive APS-C size sensors. They're quite stylish. I think they're very, very interesting. And if you wanted to try the Fujifilm, what they offer in terms of JPEG customization, getting a cheaper one might be an easy way to do it. So buy these if you want to have a dabble with what Fujifilm have to offer, but don't want to spend the earth. And maybe you want a larger sensor for low light and dynamic range in your everyday carry. It's a great affordable way to do that. But not the XF10 line. There's a crazy thing going on in the camera industry in the moment where anything that's a premium compact has suddenly like shot up to a stupid price, and I don't think it's worth it. But I do, however, think the XA line is worth your time. Is there a law that I have to do this every time the camera does it? Absolutely. This is the Leica X1. I think it's blooming gorgeous. I mean, it is gorgeous because it's a Leica. This is the first premium compact Leica that Leica made, shot every time I'm saying Leica, without Panasonic. So this is entirely in-house, all of their color science, everything. It's flawed, but you can pick them up at a very good price, and I absolutely love the Leica monochrome. This, of course, isn't the only camera that offers Leica monochrome. Even some Lumix cameras do, like the G9 II, for example, but that's not exactly, you know, everyday carry size. The other one that I have, the other aluminium one, is the T-Type 701, and that also has the Leica monochrome in, and that's very nice as well. That's part of the L-mount alliance, so full-frame Lumix lenses will work on these as well. Super cool. So buy these two older, slightly more affordable Leica cameras if the idea of owning a Leica appeals to you, shot, and also if you really are taken by the Leica monochrome, which I am too. But do not buy either of them if what you're shooting is very fast moving, like if you want it to like take pictures of your dogs running or the local sporting events, because the contrast-based autofocus in both of them is not the one. Not me forgetting to bring a camera over again. Another Pentax hits the list. The Pentax MX1. It's made of brass. It's beautiful. It's the most ideal sized everyday carry. And the black and white in here is blooming stunning. It even allows you to bake in the date and time on the JPEGs, which I find charming. And not to repeat myself, because there's a lot of crossover in this between this and the Pentax Q, but a lot of those presets and the ways that you can manipulate the color, you can also do in the MX1. There's even a couple of presets in this that go above and beyond the Q, where you can change the hue of some of the presets as well, which I think is really cool. And bonus points, you can turn the shutter sound into a meowing cat. Really. The sensor is smaller in that compared to the APS-C Leicas that I was just discussing, but the autofocus is better, and also the lens is very versatile and very fast as well. In terms of my own choices, I think I like the MX1 the best for my monochrome needs, but you know, the Leica monochrome is iconic. So buy the Pentax MX1 if the idea of having a brass vintage style everyday carry appeals to you. Don't mind having a slightly smaller sensor, and you just want something that's quite unique. In at number 4, of course, the Olympus Pen F. Now my progression from JPEG customization went from the Pentax Q to the slightly larger but still quite small Pen F. There's so much more that you can do inside the Pen F, like boosting your highlights, shadows and midtones, and some of the presets built into the Olympus cameras are very nice indeed. Again, I'm a bit of a sucker for the monochrome. I love the monochrome out of the Pen F, but there are some really nice color profiles as well. You also have the photo profile dial at the front, so you can save your favorite presets and access them very quickly. I think the Pen F is a charming camera with loads of character. I never really got on with the Olympus menus, which is why I would pick something else further up in this list personally. But if you can see past that, the Pen F is an absolute classic. I got some of my favourite photos of all time with this camera. I think I've gone back and forth and had like 3 of them. I just can't seem to quit that damn camera. So buy the Olympus Pen F if you want pretty much the most sought after Micro Four Thirds camera that's ever been made, with the exception of the Lumix GM5, and also want something that's very stylish, very pretty, and very, very robust. Just before we hit the top 3, I want to say Ricoh. Of course, I'm going to get lots of comments about this. The Ricoh GR series of cameras definitely deserves to be in this list. I have, however, only personally used one of them, which was the GR3X, which I loved, but I didn't really go into the JPEG customization too much. So let me know in the comments which ones of the Ricoh cameras should be on this list and why, and I would love to check them out in future Tiny Camera series videos. On to number 3, the OM System OM3. If you've been on my channel in the last 6 months, you'll know that this is currently like my own everyday carry and like my favourite modern Micro Four Thirds camera. I mean, that's really slim pickings, to be honest. There aren't many modern Micro Four Thirds cameras, but the OM3 is stunning. This is sort of the progression up from the Pen F. We have better menus, we have more in-depth photo profile options, and we still have the photo profile dial on the front. I've been tinkering endlessly for weeks and weeks and weeks. It feels like I'm getting close to getting things how I want it. The reason that the OM3 goes above and beyond what the Pen F and the Pentax Q can do is you've got more presets, you've got a little bit more creative control, and the secret weapon, which is what Fujifilm cameras do, is you can go in and tweak the white balance. So there's a lot more creative control in that way. Here are some of my favourite photos that I've shot using different tinkerings with the photo profile dial. If you're a bit of a camera nerd, the OM3 is great. Buy this if you like a pretty expensive but feature-rich, slightly larger camera with retro styling. It's weather sealed enough to be thrown into a waterfall, you can shoot wildlife with it, it's pretty good in low light, even survives the snow. This is a cracking camera and one of the very best on the market at the moment. And I think it's had a bit too much backlash because of the pricing, but give it time and I think we will be lamenting about the OM3 in several years' time, like we do about the Pen F now. So in at number 2, of course, we have the Fujifilm expensive ones, so the X-Trans sensor cameras. Specifically for me, I've used the X100V and the X100VI. Now, just to be clear, I'm not saying that any camera in this list in any order is better or worse at other things. I'm just simply ranking them based on their JPEG performance. And of course, Fujifilm deserves to be up here with the very, very best. I love the looks that you can get out of both of these cameras. Personally, if I was going to spend that much blooming money on an everyday carry that you can't change the lenses on, I would spring for the 6, because then at least you have the bigger megapixel sensor and also you have IBIS as well and better video features. But I digress. I love the community around the Fujifilm JPEGs. If you watch a creator or you go to a blog post or mailing lists set up that give you recipes of the day, they're called recipes. That's such a sexier name than like other things that other brands have gone with. I love the simplicity. You can just copy and paste the settings in. You don't have to buy things. You can just see what your favorite creators are doing, copy them and go and have fun. Will these recipes work in every single scenario? Absolutely not. For instance, if you're following a creator that lives in blooming California and everything's sunny and gorgeous, those sorts of recipes are probably not going to look great in moody England and vice versa. You do still have to be picky with the recipes that you use, but the creative options that you can get from the Fujifilm cameras are very interesting indeed. So buy the Fujifilm X-Trans cameras if you really like custom JPEGs but lean specifically towards filmic ones, because they really do hold the crown for film emulations. You know, you can edit a photo in 100 different ways and it doesn't necessarily have to emulate film, but some of the most popular ones do, and that's what Fujifilm is brilliant at. And while I think the Fujifilm recipes are superb and I love the community spirit around it and I love the results, I don't believe personally that it's the best way to do it on the market at the moment. The best way, in my opinion, is number 1, The Lumix S9. Again, I'm not saying this is a better or worse camera, I'm just simply talking about JPEGs. With the real-time LUT function, theoretically, it will do anything that Fujifilm can do and more, because if you liked a Fujifilm recipe, you could turn it into a LUT, stick it on the S9 and bang, exactly the same. Some purists might disagree with me, but yeah, it's pretty much the same. And the great thing about real-time LUT is you can emulate anything. A lot of my custom photo presets I wouldn't necessarily call filmic, but I do think they are quite a stylized look. And you couldn't replicate something like that on a Fujifilm because they're all based on actual film stock. So if you'd like a little bit more creative control, you could go wild with the S9. And the benefit of that is it works on photo and video, so you can get really high quality photo and video straight out of camera looking exactly the way that you want it. In terms of the Lumix S9 itself, I've spoken in depth about the pros and the cons of this particular camera. My personal belief is I think it would work much better if it were a micro four thirds camera, because then you could have smaller lenses on it and it would genuinely be small. As it stands, it is a full frame camera, and I think the only full frame camera on this list, oh no, and the Sigma BF as well, so there's 2 full frame cameras on this list. This is the best. It is. And while full frame has its benefits, you can get lovely shallow depth of field, for example, it also has some drawbacks when you're trying to stuff it all into a tiny little camera. But I do wish that Panasonic would at some point make a everyday carry that is small, micro four thirds, with real-time LUT built in, because that would tick just about every box everybody has for everyday carry cameras. And it's just like, it's right there, just do it, it's right there. So buy the S9 if you can live with its compromises in exchange for all of its wonderful benefits, and if you've died and turned into a fossilized skeleton waiting for the micro four thirds version like I have. And let me take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is a wonderful platform that I've used for blooming years. If you are in the market to get yourself a new website built, there is not an easier place for you to start. And I love that if you don't have a design background, like me, for example, I don't really know about font choices. I literally use the default font choice in all of my titles. Fun fact. They have loads of AI features that will help you design your perfect website, font pairings, colouring, branding, logos even, they do the lot. I've used Squarespace for many years for many different things, from wedding photography portfolios to shouting into the void about camera nerdiness. And now I use it to sell my photo presets, which are real-time LUT compatible. I shall throw that out there. So if you'd like to give Squarespace a go, then you can use the link in the description, and you can use the code micro4nerds for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. And thank you as always to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and I shall see you all in the next one.